Shalom, everybody. Welcome back to my channel, Ashia Streams. I appreciate you for joining me today. We have a podcast from King Riches about how men age like wine and women age like milk. So, this podcast in particular was a live stream that was over 2 hours long, but there was a particular conversation that he had with the panel of guests, and I just wanted to do a reaction for you all because I had quite a few things to say because this is something that's been on my mind when it comes to men sitting in a room of feminine women. So,
Fine to look exactly like girls that we see on Instagram.
Okay.
But these girls aren't typical average women.
Okay.
And a normal woman doesn't need to have a BBL, doesn't need to put fillers in her lips to be her own definition of beautiful. So if she's saying that on her scale, she's a 10, but for her own self, she can see there's room for improvement, then that's completely fine. We need to stop pushing women to hate themselves because they're not fitting this mold.
Who pushes women to feel that way?
I feel like men in general.
Well, how? How do
Well,
men
because
do that?
when you talk about, what a typical man or a high value man wants,
What does
we
a high-value
often
man
talk
want?
about Instagram models, right?
Do
we
we?
often reference an Instagram model.
Do we?
Yes, because
When?
that's what we.
Who does?
You have said it as well.
When did who did I reference that's on Instagram?
No, you said Instagram baddie, right?
Okay, but that
So,
doesn't mean I said that's the standard
What
of
does an
beauty, though.
Instagram baddie look like typically?
I never said that's the standard of beauty, though.
No, but this is the look.
example
You
you
just said
used.
you need to conform to the market. The market is
I never said the
Instagram
market.
baddies.
You're saying that. I never said that.
Okay,
No, I
You're
don't
saying
really
that.
So,
agree
but
with
what are
that.
we comparing it to then?
What do you mean?
What can
I don't
we
know what
compare
you're
it
talking
to?
about.
No, what can we prepare?
What are you
What can
talking
we
about?
compare?
she's talking about, okay, so what is the standard for a woman to be a 10? So if I can't categorize myself a 10 because that's just what I think I am, then what is the standard?
This idea of beauty, because what makes you think that she's not a 10? I'm not saying you personally, but what makes a 10?
I asked her what she thought of herself, and I asked her why does she
No, but
believe
what
that number.
what
didn't even
makes
finish
her
my
a
point.
10 or what makes her a 5?
That's a really good question that I believe that we're going to see how he answers that question. But that's a good question because a lot of women see themselves as something greater than what they are, right? They see themselves as 10s, as 9s, 8s, when really they're probably sitting at a 4, a 5. And that's not just because this standard, what is it really based off of? Is it based off a woman's looks solely, or is it based off of a woman's characteristics? Because if we're kept factoring in character, some women might be even lower than that, even though on the look scale they may be 10s or 9s or what have you. So what is it, the metric that men are looking at in order to gauge, okay, a woman is this or she's a 10?
What are we comparing her to, or what are we comparing me to?
What we're comparing to is
Yeah.
it's really biology, really.
And so she said, it seems like men in general base a woman being a 10 off of the way that they look, IG baddies. So she said, even I've heard you say that. And he said, no, you haven't heard me say that. And so when she asks, what is it that you all are basing it off of? The first answer that he is giving is genetics. So is that not to say that you all are basing a 10, or at least him in particular is basing what a 10 is off of how they look? This is a question that she asking. And this would have been the perfect opportunity for him to come in and be like, well, what would really make a woman a 10 is this, and that.
It just comes down to biology, really and truly.
Okay, but biology isn't looks. So what are we using
What is
a
bi-
look
if
as an
it-
example for?
It looks is biology. What are you talking?
See, that what she just said, she said biology isn't looks. He could have said, yeah, well, I'm not just solely talking about looks because that's not the only thing that makes it 10. But I can't speak for this brother. I'm just saying from what I've gathered, I've heard men say, and also I've heard him say, it's not just about the way that a woman looks, but when asked this question, it's just interesting that this is the first thing that he goes to, you know?
No, I'm saying biology. You can't say,
What's
okay,
genetics?
no, but then you're going to have to say, okay, your nose is ugly, her nose is what we desire.
Bro, like, you're saying all of this stuff, which is, and I'm going to get back to you because you never finish your point. Yeah? You're saying all of this stuff, which is all well and good and feel good to make everyone feel like everyone's a 10. But obviously, everybody's not a 10 because
That's not what she's saying. She's saying what makes a one. She's asking, and it's so crazy, okay, because King Richards has this panel of women, right? And I watched the majority of this podcast, so I can say that these women are fairly feminine. They're soft-spoken. They're not argumentative. They are inquisitive, so they do ask questions. But this is the perfect kind of panel to have as a man, in my opinion, because these women sounded, to me, impressionable. They sounded as if they respected him. So if he would have, handled it a different kind of way, he could have gave these women some answers that made them go back and think and maybe even apply this to their own ideologies.
everybody's not on the runway, bruv. Like, you can say what you want, like, but the reality, like, sometimes it's like we're trying to live this fairy tale bubble thing which doesn't exist, but we live in the real world. We live in reality. When you lot see guys out there, maybe not you, but I'm sure most of the girls here have come across guys that some are good looking, some are average, some are below average. I don't see why now we're not asked the question of what does a girl think of herself. It's a problem, because I'm sure you lot would rate guys. If I brought a line of guys in here,
She didn't say it was a problem. She only asked what makes a woman a 10. I'm curious about this too. I would love to hear a man's perspective on what he believes makes a woman a 10. Is it only based in biology on how a woman looks? Or is it based in something deeper than that would make her a 10?
and told you lot to rate them, you lot would do it just like that. It wouldn't be a big deal. It wouldn't be a problem.
But I'm saying, what are we comparing it to?
And the thing about it is, when you don't speak to a woman directly, when she asks a question, this is just me, we're going to end up talking in circles, because what I asked you never got answered. So I hear all of that other stuff that you're saying, but you're not speaking to what I'm saying. And so this is how you talk in circles with women.
Listening, bro.
No, you're not listening. You're not understanding the fact
there's nothing
that
complicated about what you're saying.
There is a comparable.
And that's very condescending to say that there's nothing complicated about what she's saying. Yeah, there's nothing complicated about what she's asking. So why can't you answer it?
Thing.
Or on the other end, maybe she should just accept the fact that what he's saying is his answer.
Yeah, there is a standard here.
What are you comparing it to, bruh? And when you see a guy that you just don't find attractive, who are you comparing him to?
But you just said the runway, right?
And I said that everybody's
be...
not beautiful, because if everyone was beautiful, everyone would be on the runway.
But there's so many beautiful women in remote places in the world that should be on the runway that aren't on the runway.
That's got nothing to do with what you're talking about. That's to do with location and access. What are you talking about?
Okay, location and access, but still, there are beautiful women out here that are beautiful, that aren't on Instagram. The point is, if she's saying she's a 10, then she's a 10.
What's that got to do with the beautiful?
I'm very rarely. I'm on the side of right and wrong. It doesn't matter if the wrong side is the woman and the right side is the man, or vice versa. But like, this right here is just not very good communication skills. This right here is very undertoning of being disrespectful for no reason, because she's asking a good question. And this reminds me of what women do when they get offended. They begin to get emotional and start to deflect, and then start to attack the other person, because that's easier than just answering or participating in the conversation as an adult.
Beautiful women in Guatemala.
I think, I think what you're trying to say,
if she's a 10, she's a 10. She's even 100.
But you're not dating her though, and you're not going to marry her, and you're not going to have children with her.
And neither are you. So it's subjective. So whatever man that gets with her.
But hold on, I've got more of a chance than you.
Obviously. See, but I'm saying, so whatever man.
Yeah, but like, you listen. This is a problem with a lot of modern women. Yeah, you're not understanding. You're not.
Woman.
You are, because you're all right. You're talking like one. Maybe you're not one, but you talk like one.
I'm not.
Because I'm a part of the market, and you're not, and you're trying to tell me what the market should think.
She's not trying to tell anybody what the market should think. She's asking a question. She's not trying to force her opinion on anybody. She's just saying if that's the case, anybody can think anything of themselves. What are we basing these ideas and these numbers off of? That's a good question.
You can't dictate what the market thinks.
But
that's like Coca-Cola saying, "Oh, I'm gonna sell a canned drink, and the canned drink is worth £10, bruv." But the market is like, nah, I would only pay £2
But
for
that's
it.
what I'm asking you. What is the standard of the market?
Stop interrupting. The market's saying that they only are willing to pay £2 for that can. It doesn't matter how the can feels, bruv. It doesn't matter how the Coca-Cola company feels, bruv. It's about what is the market willing to buy. And remember, there's other drinks out there as well that the consumer can buy. So you got to understand the market. That's where you will win. If you don't understand your customer, you won't sell. Like, it's a simple thing. I don't see how you don't get that.
Oh, can I say something, please?
Go on.
I was thinking maybe where you're coming from is that I think she's trying to say, or maybe, I don't know, tell me if I'm wrong, but I think that there's in the UK, let's say, there's an unconscious bias of the standard of beauty, because we, in the Western world, the standard of beauty is based on a white woman, basically. So I think maybe you're trying to say that in every culture, there's a standard of beauty that's based on like the Western world, and that's how you're influenced. So obviously beauty is subjective in that sense, because what someone might find attractive, another person won't. So when you're saying why, like, who's she comparing herself to, like, maybe you're kind of saying like, yeah, who are you comparing yourself to?
Maybe I'm taking her question out of context, but that's very surface. She's not just talking about, she's just asking what would make a woman a 10. If a woman thinks that she's a 10 and you're saying she's not a 10, then what is the standard for a woman to be a 10? This sister is talking about looks because that's what he answered with talking about, but that still doesn't answer this girl's question. Unless, like I said before, we want to just say that is his answer. You kind of got to accept it for what it is. And women, if you're having a conversation like this, so that you won't come off combative and disrespectful, so that you can get the W in a conversation. It's not about winning or losing, but this will definitely help you out in the long run. But if you see that you're asking a question, the person or the man that you're talking to doesn't want to answer your question, and you can tell because he's talking around the question or he's giving an answer that doesn't speak directly to the question, just drop it. Whew, just drop it.
If you're rating yourself because you're comparing yourself possibly to the unconscious bias of the Western world's standard of beauty. Does that make sense?
I get what. So listen, I understand what she was saying. Who am I comparing her to? I get what she was saying.
Just because you can rephrase a question doesn't mean that you necessarily understand. Because if you understood the question, then you would know how to answer it. In my opinion.
And I get what you're saying. Yeah.
I wasn't even saying you. I was saying, who is she meant to compare herself
She's talking about in general.
to?
All right, cool.
By the standards.
Stop. Like, I understand, yeah? But at the end of the day, the market is the market. And to be honest with you, most guys, you can shake, but you're not a guy. So stop shaking your hands, bro. You're not a guy, bro. Like, you've never been a guy. You're never going to be a guy.
That don't got nothing to do with anything. But
let me tell you from a guy's point of view. Most of us,
she wasn't trying to be a guy. She's literally asking a guy, what do guys base 10s off of?
Can all sit down. Most guys, even doesn't matter, black, white, young, old. Most of us can say this girl's attractive and this girl's not. Most of us would have that shared opinion. It's not difficult. Like,
so what makes a girl attractive?
It's just genetics.
And so this sister asked the question again, but in a different kind of way. So she said, okay, since you can't tell us what the standard is for what would make a woman a 10, what do you find attractive? Now, let's hear this.
It's the genetics. Some people just got it, some people ain't got it. It's just...
Again, genetics. Again, the way a person looks.
That's it. And it's nothing to do with shade.
That's just this man's answer. Like, they just need to accept that this is his answer. for him. And this is not the standard for all men, because the men that I've seen and on other podcasts and knowing my personal life, that is not what they solely go off of, how a woman looks, her genetics, her biology. They go off of a woman's character. That adds into her number of being a 10, because you can look like a 10 but be acting like a 2. So that matters.
Because there's black women that look great, there's white women that look great, and there's black women that don't look great, and there's white women that don't look great.
Look.
It's just it's the genetic lottery. That's it. Like there's some women that are slim that look great, some slim women that don't look great. There's big women that look great and some big women that don't look great. It's a genetic lottery, bro. It's a case to case. It's really.
I mean, because personally, I know that I'm about a 6 in the looks department and about an 8 in the character department, if I'm being honest with myself, because I have room to improve on both ends. I have room to improve on both ends, so that's just being honest. But that's me basing it off of character and physicality, not just genetics. Because going off of just genetics, like I said, I'm like a 6. So, but that's me as a woman giving my opinion. This is why they asked him as a man. They respect his opinion. And honestly, he could have took this and made this one of the coldest. He could have broke it down. But it's important when you are in front of people and people are asking you questions that you be knowledgeable about everything, that you already had a lot of thought beforehand, and you just be aware of what it is that you really believe in your own life. Because if he had a good standard for the kind of woman that he's attracted to, I don't think that he would just say it was about looks.
Really, it's a case-to-case basis, really.
I don't know.
But don't you think where you grow up
But listen, when I say it's a case-to-case basis, that actually gives me ground to ask you, what do you think of yourself? Because I'm asking you individually. I'm not asking you as a group.
Yeah.
Do you get what I'm saying? Do you understand?
Yeah, I wasn't disputing your question.
Go on then.
I was just disputing this market. But now you've clarified it's a case-to-case basis. So it is subjective. There isn't this one mold.
No, but I'm saying
beauty.
most guys would probably agree. That's what I'm saying to you.
See, okay. Me and my husband was watching this together, and he absolutely did not agree with this. So I don't know if most men would agree. It's no point in, being so rough with her, because she was just asking a very good, valid question, and she wasn't being argumentative. At the end of it, she said, okay, I received your answer and I see what you were saying. So, I just found this very interesting. I had because I came across the video again today, and I was like, man, I really like his podcast, but I've been noticing him handle certain situations rather emotionally, and it's disheartening to see, because I see the women on his podcast have a lot of respect for him, and he could use that to begin to mold some women and begin to really push the agenda of, you need to be a better woman, more submissive, more respectful to men, and not focus so much on how you look. But like I said again, that might just be all that matters to this brother. So what do you all think makes a woman a 10? What is it that comprises that number? What's the standard that we're comparing it to? Is a woman a 10 simply because of how good she looks? I love to know. Let's get the conversation started in the comment section. I appreciate you for watching this video. Make sure you subscribe to this page. Make sure you hit that notification bell so you can be notified every time I upload a new video. Again, I appreciate you, and shalom.